All right. Well, welcome to the first episode of our Church Ideas webcast. We haven't got a name for it yet, so if you guys out there watching have got any ideas, then post them below. Um, I'd like to introduce Karen,
Hi
Steve,
guys.
Steve, and Cade. We're going to be doing a podcast today, so myself, and Karen will be doing the podcast ongoing, and we've got our guests Steve and Cade here to talk about church streaming and media. And yeah, so I was just wondering, Karen, if you wanted to introduce yourself and tell us what you're up to.
Sure. Um, my name's Karen. I kind of run Church Sport Australia, which started off a hobby in 2011, roughly. Before that, I was doing admin and uh, computer stuff for churches. And I've been brought up by a nerdy father, so I've kind of kept up with the computer skills and just been helping out churches, mainly in country areas who are struggling to have those admin skills in there and helping them out and directing others in the right direction for resources that they need. So yeah, that's me.
Okay, cool. Um, I'll introduce myself as well. My name's Chris Dawes. I run Faith Network Australia, which we basically build platforms for online ministry. So any tools that people come to us and ask us to build, we do that. So we run Go Register, which is an online registration platform for complex events, you could say. And we also have started to run Go Donate, and then we're about to launch Creative Taxi, which will be a online art site for artists, speakers, musicians, poets, everyone to get exposed to Christian ministry. So that's me. Um, Cade, up the top. Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name's Cade. I'm a developer. Been working on a platform for churches and for ministries and also businesses. But basically, it's probably a content management system mixed with a CRM. Just church is a complex beast these days. Trying to make it a little less complex and just cut down on the double handling that's happened traditionally.
Cool. And Steve.
Hey everyone, I'm Steve. Dad of three, husband of one. I was a church communications pastor at Crossway for 10 years. I'm now working in a digital agency, and one of the things I do in that digital agency is sell a church giving product and do the marketing for that. So, and as well as helping churches with online stuff, as well as the list, it goes on and on and on, as we've just been talking about before we came on air.
Cool. Well, one of the big topics of the week has been streaming church, streaming connect groups or small groups and things like that. Can perhaps Steve, could you tell us about some of the stuff you did at Crossway or now, and how you're helping people get church streaming happening in some of your experience?
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't look at it necessarily from a technical view. Cade and Karen will probably be able to speak more into that, but really what I look at it is from a opportunity for churches to spread their message and spread the gospel. So I started Crossway's online campus about 5 years ago now, and so I'm a toddler or a primary school student, and so we started and grew to about 2,500 people attending every week. And really that was amazing, absolutely amazing. And yeah, just really through the power of social media and digital comms, and we were reaching people in Algeria, through the Middle East, through Southern Asia, Northern Asia, Australia, New Zealand, you name it. Pretty much we had, most weeks we had about 100 countries who would come and check us out.
Yep.
And yeah, so that was just 2 years of sheer delight in helping our online campus grow, and as well as doing my day-to-day stuff as well at Crossway. And really what I've seen this last maybe 3 weeks is everyone else catching up. And there's this kind of global epiphanies happening of, we need to jump online, and it's more of a mitigation thing rather than, or a functional response to a problem rather than seeing it as an opportunity. And a lot of churches, I think in the weeks and months to come, as they get more used to this, will see what the opportunity is for them, where they used to basically, in terms of a Sunday service point of view, speak into four walls and the people within that. But really the reality of church is online is those walls don't exist anymore, and other people are looking over other people's shoulders and looking in and checking things out. And, you know, and that's the wonderful things about not only the online platform, but Facebook streaming, live, Premiere, YouTube, you name it. And you think we've gone from, you know, hundreds of churches to thousands of churches in the space of a couple of weeks. It's, you know, Facebook even today just released some new data saying that that's going to, I think, change the bit rate or something on their videos because of all of the shift into online content. And I'm sure that's just more broader than just pictures. This variety, societal disruption change that we're in right now, and you know, my preference is we keep going, and this is just the kind of the start of gun, bang, and we keep going, and they don't see this just as a functional response to a problem, but they just see this as a
Have we lost him? Oh well. Until
he's back.
Oh, he's back. There we go. The beauties of streaming. You never know what's going to happen.
It just literally went bang.
Yeah, no worries. So, well, while we're talking on that, Karen, what have you heard this week? What's some of the things people have been talking to you in your ministry about streaming, and what are some of the issues some of the smaller churches are having?
I ended up with a migraine on Monday. It was it was good because a lot of it has stretched a lot of pastors who don't like the online or don't do the online thing, and so actually getting them out of their comfort zone and making them think, okay, we've got to do this. How are we going to do it? And it's been an eye-opener, and holding a lot of people's hands on Sunday morning virtually.
Yep.
And just helping them get through step by step and doing this together.
Yeah. Well, Cade, you'd be seeing the other side of that, like from a church management or CMS point of view. Like, what have you been seeing from churches and the way they've changed using online systems even?
Well, I think it's changing day to day as the government keeps changing regulation for the coronavirus season. Anything happens within the next 24 hours and the next 24 hours after that. So I think about a week ago, as Steve said, every church was, basically running around going, we've got to get online. We've got to stream our church service as we were doing it. We need to get that online so then people can watch it. And it started off with a lot of churches going for the house party kind of idea where small groups would meet up and then watch the church service. And then that was the plan. And then even, I think it was on the Saturday before, the Australian government at least said, no, you can't even do that. So then it became everybody isolated. And then it's even, there's the danger of it moving towards, well, can your team even actually go to the church and stand next to each other on stage? And
that's it. Yep.
Film that. So looking further down the line, I think, last week the advice was, your church basically needs to turn into a TV station now. You need to start producing good content. You need to repurpose your teams. Your welcome team needs to become the team on Church Online or whatever platform you're using. They need to then be the people generating community and chatting on Facebook and YouTube. Yep. Your media team, your audio team need to start working together a lot better. In regards to filming, you'd be really lucky to get the equipment that you would have been recommended by a lot of blogs out there. So it's really down to can you get your phone out and get something happening? Because it's an unprecedented time that we live in at the moment. But on the church management side, it's just emails. We've just seen churches through our platform. It has an email out feature, and that is getting a hammering at the moment. It's email to everybody, massive SMS blast to everybody, thousands and tens of thousands of things. So the communication thing is really important in this season. And then one of the other things that which is pretty interesting is even getting to the point where we may not, people are going to get more isolated, and that's been a thing for a while. But we've got churches who are taking the strategy of literally calling every member in the congregation every week. So being able to create those lists and actually make sure that they're connected, because there's quite a lot of people in our community, especially in churches, when you're over 60, 70, non-tech savvy people that sitting at home, and they're going to be even more disconnected. So the phone call is really an old school way of connecting, but it's an important one as well.
So just anyone, basically, have you seen anything unusual or new come out of this that you thought was interesting? One of the things I've seen a lot with children's ministry podcasts and things like that is playing Kahoot online, or playing different interactive games that people can just dial up on their phone and interact with a TV show, so to speak, so interactive TV. Is there anything else you guys have seen that's quite unique?
Not really. I mean, look, people are just pivoting. So, I'm seeing various iterations of different things coming out from children's ministries doing kind of pre-recorded videos, telling kids to stop, pause, keep going, like something as simple as that, through to some people who are putting their own kids ministry on a church online platform, through to, it's like, if you can think it's possible, pretty much everyone's giving that avenue a go. And, and to be honest, the next phase is, how do you do church when you're not, or a service at least, when your pastor is on that side of town and your worship leader is in their house, and so-and-so is in their house, and that's, a week away from happening?
That's
really?
Right,
So you've got to either plan that out much more efficiently, or you're going to have to get a really good solution that can do that. And, I feel like what's happened is churches have leaped to a performance level that's gone here for a lot of them, which isn't sustainable. But the reality is they're going to have to kind of strip it right back. And which is great. It's really, really good. Because that distributed church is actually a good thing, and it'll make it more sustainable as we get over these, however long people are in isolation for. I think it's, it's something as simple as this, really.
And it is that that old trope of, the church thrives under persecution. I can see the church actually, thriving in this area because there's so much opportunity. And it could actually be something that really gives the church a kick up the butt, and gets us in the right place that we need to be.
No, that's fine. Everyone's got kids at home at the moment, so that's fine. I mean, one of the other things I've been kind of talking to for a little while is like VR church and things like that, and augmented reality church and things like that. And it's kind of, people can't just do that on the spur of the moment, obviously, but it's something that people are now starting to think about. What else can we do with church? So, because if we'd done VR church for the last 6 months, we could actually get a service from last month, and you could sit in it next to somebody without social distancing, which would be less weird. So,
I reckon that'd be great for you, Chris, because you're one of those tech geeks that loves that sort of stuff. But for the vast majority of people,
that's it.
They're going to ask you, what is VR? They're going to ask you, what's AR? That's the mass of people that we're dealing with, that they that's where they're at. I think the opportunity we have really is how do you reimagine what a church service is like?
Yep.
Like how do you strip away, like the smoke machine is not going to happen anymore. Let's face it.
Yeah, that's it.
They're not going to work out for a bit.
Yep.
So how do you reimagine that? And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully it shows you how simple this can actually be.
Yep.
And still have the same impact.
Yeah.
And that,
Okay.
I remember being at a church up in Sydney at one point, and it was a church, like a large Pentecostal church, big show, performance, lights, sound, music, the whole thing, and the power went out, and you know, the backup lights came on, dim lighting, but you know, the guitarist up on stage still had his acoustic guitar, and preacher could still speak, and everyone could hear him even without a mic, and you know, as a church service, it was great. It was actually really good, and I think Steve said, I'd reiterate it. I'd say that I'm quite excited for the church going back to basics, even rather than a church service.
Yeah,
going right back to the core of actually just being people of God and actually caring for people and meaningful relationships, meaningful conversations, discipleship, all that kind of stuff. So it's quite exciting.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing Karen was talking to me earlier this week about. Is she's like, some of the people here, as you said, Steve, they don't even know how to get on the internet, let alone use fancy technology like VR, which is like way beyond where we're at now. Like, and that's one of the reasons I brought it up, is I was like, well, there's one extreme, but the other extreme is a reality for a lot of churches where they're like, well, we've got 60 to 80-year-olds. How do we contact them? Because they've only got a phone. That's it. And some of them don't have that with NBN now. So now how do you get them engaged with technology? So Karen, do you want to speak to some of that, like of what you've been hearing?
Yeah, we've actually had to help a couple of churches who actually put signs physically on their door saying church closed, and the pastor just threw his hands up in the air and said, I don't know what to do. My congregation is over 60. There's about 45 of them. And he says, all I can do is ring them. And that's it. And he felt frustrated. He felt left behind every other church because they were racing ahead with technology. So it just took some gentle coaxing and walking alongside him and say, hey, we'll help you through it. We'll guide you and give you some tips and ideas of what to do with this generation who aren't tech savvy, but a lot of them are quick learners. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the other things is like, especially for churches just coming online for the first time, Steve, you probably be able to talk to this, is like, how do you choose a platform? Where do you go? And I saw you put a guide out that's helped a lot of people as well. Do you want to talk to that for a bit?
Sure. So basically doing church, a service. So I think we've got to be distinct what's church or who is church and a church service. And they're two very, very different things. And so theologically, philosophically, you know, if we're just talking about a service as such, so a group of people coming together, a service can be this, you know, and this is what I encourage all the churches I've been talking to. Get a tripod. While you can, go to the shops, buy the little extension that you can just put on it, and that is you're good to go. Like you're simply good to go. Preacher, if you want to preach into that little dead black lens, imagine all the people behind it. That's what I had to used to do, and you know, it's just that little lens there, and go and just imagine the people in your congregation. Just think of them while you're speaking, and you know, it's as simple as that. Don't jump 4 steps ahead. This is going to be something that you're going to be doing over the weeks and months. So start with the essentials. For those churches that have some infrastructure support in terms of people, as well as technology, the platforms you've been talking about, Church Online platform is one thing. I know, Cade, you're doing something absolutely amazing as well alongside that, which is going to, I think, just be incredible for Australian churches.
Yeah, I think so too.
And wider. I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. So that idea that you've just got to do what you can with what you have.
Yep.
And I think that's really the core message that I'm trying to get out to lots of different leaders is just do what you have with what you can with what you have, and start there. And week 1 is this, week 2 is this, week 3 is this. The reality is everyone jumped to a platform or to a stream, and are jumping to different places, and that's fine. And it will change, and be happy with that fact that it's going to change, because the early church met in different places. They met, they met in a market square. They met in a house. They met. So we need to get used to this new reality that a church service as such will change as this current challenge changes. And who knows? We might go back to that old normal in a year's time, or in 6 months' time, or in 4 months' time. Who knows? But for church leaders, one thing I'd just say, well, 2 things actually. One is the platform. The second thing is more of an organisational thing, is that churches, and it's a very practical piece of advice. I've just done a webinar for our giving product here, and every church that was on that webinar reported that their giving was down, significantly down. It's a significant issue. So just from a practical point of view, if you're a pastor listening, that you need to pivot very quickly to helping your church give online. And I'm not saying that just because we tell it.
For sure.
But it's the reality is that if you're a church of 60 people, that income is paying for that pastor and their family. It's paying for the operations of the church. It's and if you've got an elderly congregation, and they go, what else do I do? Do I save the money? Do I spend it? You've got to move very, very quickly. Because most churches don't have that cash equity at hand to survive for that long. And so outside of the platforms and services and all that wonderful technology stuff, on a very practical level, you would be doing your church a favor if you, whether it's PayPal, whether it's a church online giving platform like we manage, or whatever, it's saying, doing a phone call and taking your congregation through it and saying, if you want to set something up, it's just start now. Now. And on the flip side of that is, how can you as a church care for someone? The mix, why that, and if you have the capacity to help people, then that's where that money can go towards. That's the reality. For some churches, our church across the way, we have a fund which we can distribute for people who are in crisis. And I know that's probably going to go bang like that over the next couple of weeks as people have lost their jobs. So I love talking about platforms and technology and all that sort of stuff. But the reality is that leaders at the moment are grappling with so many big issues. Technology is just a small part of that. And the technology is not going to happen if they don't have finances.
And I mean, one of the other big issues with streaming as well is licensing, and a lot of people struggled, like even with the CCLI streaming license and using pre-recorded content and versus live content and those sort of things. So I know Karen's been posting a lot about that and trying to find the right licenses for people. And I think even Karen, you found one that people could use pre-recorded content, but it's not part of the CCLI licenses at the moment. I'm sure they'll correct us if they've got something new. But
they will.
So that's good. So it's good, but it's getting everyone thinking, and it's getting everyone innovating a bit. And even some of the home church people I'm talking to, they're saying, well, we thought we could just meet because we were smaller, but now we can't because we can only fit 6 people in our lounge room if you put the social distancing into place. So even my wife, who's a violin teacher, can't do group lessons because she's having to do them over Zoom, and then you've got all these latency issues and all sorts of technological hurdles, to deal with. So yeah, so I think yeah, everyone's just like reaching out and talking, and I'm seeing a lot of pastors talking to each other, which is even better, across denominations and
Right.
across countries even, and online conferences just popping up out of nowhere, just saying, hey, we've got some experts, come and listen to them talk about how you can do some things. So, but yeah, but as Cade was saying as well, finding actual getting cameras or getting gear is really hard, and especially through the internet, delivery slow, as well. So yeah, there's a lot of challenges to this sort of thing. So I just thought, just to wind up a little bit, I just wanted to also give Cade a bit of a chance to talk about his live service that they've just in the middle of launching, and just what have you found that for churches or people have used it so far?
It's very much in its infancy, but I think everything is in response at the moment. But yeah, there's a lot of options out there. I think probably one of the biggest, most popular one is getting to YouTube, which is fantastic. And I'd still probably recommend. YouTube is really simple. It's a great place to start. Get your phone, and I know that there's a couple of things that when you start with YouTube, if you wanted to use your phone and that's all you've got, you actually can't stream live until you have 1,000 subscribers and things like that.
Yep.
So there's a few things there which cause a large amount of difficulty and can be problematic for pastors that are just starting out, in amongst all of the other stuff that they've got to think about right now. So we've just been working on an option which basically you can skip past that. You can stream to a service that we're setting up, and we've almost finished making that available to everybody, that then can basically skip all those steps. We can give you a URL that you can stream to. If you plug in your YouTube and password, it'll create the YouTube events and stuff for you, and basically just get you up and running. But in amongst that, I think, as I mentioned before, particularly in this environment, and if someone's watching this 5 years from now, who knows, may not be applicable at all. But one thing, even just the conversation that we're having at the moment, it's in real time. We're not setting up a performance and then streaming it, or a delay of 20 seconds between us talking is a big problem. So this two-way communication group conferencing kind of idea, there's a number of options out there at the moment. Zoom is one that has just been going absolutely crazy. But even with Zoom, particularly at our congregation, there's a lot of people who, I think even my grandparents who live down the road from our church, I want to go over there and catch up with them, right? Because they're quite old, but I could be the one that gives them an illness. So you've got that problem. And then you go, well, we could set up a Zoom call, or we could set up a group conferencing or something. But it's just not going to work for them, because we're going to have to send them an email. They're going to have to click the email, install the program, all that stuff. So looking ahead at, live streaming is one thing, and that's fantastic to stream a live service. But really what I can see is we're going to need to get into some real two-way communication that's very easy, doesn't require signing up to something or installing things. Setting that up today, and it's looking like it's going pretty well as well. So hopefully we'll be able to get people connected quickly without having to jump through all the hoops.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife the other day about, my mother-in-law wanted me to go and set up her Wi-Fi's playing up, so she wanted me to help her fix it. And I said, well, what I could do is stand outside the window of your house and just talk to you through the window. And it's just all these really novel kind of ways to help people practically, so that they can connect to the internet in the first place, so, and all those sort of things. So it's like, that's all I can do. I mean, because she's like, well, I need you to be here. And it's like, well, the only thing I could do is stand outside the window and talk, so that there's a barrier of glass, and I could see what you're doing and then say, do this, do that. Or she could hold the iPad up to the window and, that sort of thing. And then there's things like TeamViewer and things like that as well, of course, that you can install, but once again, you've got to install it to even get off the ground. So,
and one key thing I'd probably say is for church pastors that are obviously this is a new normal that we're heading into, is not to get caught up on technology or what's the best or what's the X, Y, Z. That's true. Just to get a result, like actually just, if it's just picking up the phone and connecting with people, it's going to be a lot of people. It's going to mean a lot to. And in regards to the technology, it's less about the thing and how it works, and it's more about the end result. So Like I'm getting an iPad for my grandparents because it has one button on it. We can call them, they can tap it, like they really can't.
Yeah, cool.
So there is a lot of advances in technology that have made things very easy so that we can get that connection with people, which is really the most important part. But for pastors, I think having a mind, a lot of pastors are very good shepherds of people and care for people, and that's really fantastic. But I really hope that they can either change their mind a little bit or have some people around them that have an entrepreneurial spirit, because I see startups as being very similar to facing similar problems to the problems that churches have at the moment. So in a startup, you want to get your minimum viable product up quickly, get it out there, and then refine. And I think for churches as well, at this point in time, just try something, like Steve said, just get something happening, get it out there to people, and you'll get feedback. You'll surely get.
That's it.
It might be the volume's too loud.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
You'll definitely get feedback, but just iterate and refine, and you'll get there. It'll be
and I mean the other side of that. I was going to say the other side of that is starting today at American time. There's a COVID hack, which is basically programmers all around the world just coming together, and if you've got something you need built, they're all building it for ministry and churches. So, and that's all around the world through Kingdom Hack and Indigenous and all those groups that many of us techie kind of guys are all in part of. So, anyway, reach out to us if there's something in it as well, or Karen specifically, because she's fielding a few thousand ideas a day probably. So, reach out to Karen at Church Support and or to any of these guys here, or just comment in the comments, and we'll be able to point you to someone who might be able to help. So all right. I think we're coming to the end of our time today, so I'd like to thank Cade and Steve especially for coming on board today and giving us some insight from the technical and from the pastoral as well. And I'd like to thank my co-host Karen as well. This is our first podcast, or webcast, so hopefully we'll do a lot more, and we'll be back next week at the latest. So thank you very much.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Cool.